Hello and welcome to my historical playthrough series. I'm Admiral Jedi and I do historical playthroughs of Paradox interactive games. Specifically, we're going to play Hearts of Iron 4 as the nation of France. This is a spin-off, if you will, of my first set of videos, which was a historical playthrough of the nation of France in Victoria 3, which ends, Victoria 3 does, in 1936, and guess what? Hearts of Iron 4 starts in 1936. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do a historical playthrough of the nation of France. Now, specifically, what is a historical playthrough and what isn't it? First of all, it isn't a tutorial. These videos are not tutorials. In fact, I'm very, very new to Hearts of Iron 4, having played very few hours of it compared to other Paradox games. So certainly no tutorial here. What it is my attempt to play through as a nation as closely as possible to what actually happened in true history as it pertains to events, geopolitical boundaries, wars, conflicts, decisions, and that sort of thing. So playing as France in World War II, for hopefully obvious reasons, is going to be a little rough, because they didn't do too well in World War II. And so to emulate true history, we are also going to not do too well. So let me get a few disclaimers here out of the way. Okay, disclaimer number one, as I already pointed out, this is not a tutorial. If you're here to learn how to play Hearts of Iron 4, you are in the wrong place. If you're here to learn how to play it badly, you're totally probably in the right place. But anyway, just a little joke there. So that's number one. Number two, war, much like all of humanity, is filled with all of really terrible stuff, and really reprehensible, awful things happened in history. So I'm not going to attempt to make any moral correction of those things, and nor will I glorify bad behavior in any way. So I'm going to try and play as historically accurately as possible, as much as a video game will allow me to do. And the third disclaimer is that this France is in Europe and I am an American. So not only am I going to butcher several pronunciations, but I'm also probably not going to do terribly well being historically and culturally aware to some things at a finer level. I have just a few basic online resources that I'm relying on, like Wikipedia and Google and a few other military history websites. But if I screw things up, I really hope that not only will you forgive me, but please correct me. Friendliness is always nice, but not required. So go ahead and send some comments and tell me what I screwed up and got wrong, and I'd love to have a dialogue with you on this. So let's first look around and see what France has and what France is. Obviously, on the mainland continent here, we have France. And this is different from my Victoria 3 playthrough because this state of Alsace-Lorraine I did not own by the end of, I don't know how we got to this area here. But again, that's me not knowing how to play this game. Yay! We did not own this at the end of Victoria 3. It's possible that this was something that was given to France, because it was conquered from France before 1936, possibly given back after World War I. I didn't really get that far. So that's really kind of the main difference on the continent. We still have Corsica. We have Northern Africa. A difference from my Victoria 3 playthrough is that Italy decided they wanted to, and the United States decided they wanted to take the Morocco area, which historically, and we see here, is occupied by France. I did not fight them for that. The French West Africa territories look pretty much the same from my Victoria 3 playthrough, so that's kind of rewarding. And then Equatorial Africa, as I pointed out towards the end of my Victoria 3 playthrough, the United Kingdom had taken a lot of these states and provinces in Ubangi Shari, and I was not able to take that back from them, so that's a little bit different. I never took Madagascar. In Victoria 3, I don't really know. Maybe I think I screwed that up in Victoria 3, frankly. But we do still have the Indochina, Dainam, Vietnam area. So it's kind of cool to see the map stay basically the way that it was. And then we have a partition here in the Israel, Middle East area, which I believe was a result of World War I. So this is how we stand territory-wise. Let's talk a little bit more about what our goals are going to be. We are beginning the Hearts of Iron playthrough in 1936. I accidentally unpaused. So I just lost 5 hours. Anyway, we're going to begin in 1936 as opposed to the 1939 start, which is really going to separate this set of videos into two different chapters. The pre-war begin chapter and then the post-war during the war for the remainder of the war. Pre-war, I think what we're going to do is just basically as goals is do a bunch of industrialization, a bunch of military buildup, a bunch of construction, and also just sort of guide the nation in terms of our national focuses. We got a lot of national focuses to pay attention to, which I love. So we'll get into that a little bit more later and get that started. But one of the difficult aspects of playing as France is going to be the fact that France did surrender to German assault, and we are going to mimic that as best as we can, which sucks. So most people that are playing a game are going to want to try and play it to win, but at least when the war starts in 39-40, we're not. We're going now. We're not going to dramatically lose. I'm not going to go charging off into Germany, and with the goal of killing myself. We're going to do some offensives, which I believe did really take place, and then we're going to really try and hold the line as long as we possibly can against what will hopefully be, from a historical perspective, the German advance. So I'm not going to just crash and burn right away. We're going to try as long as we can, but we will lose and surrender. And there are some events, or so I've been told, which will allow us to create Free France, which I'm really looking forward to seeing what that's like, which is the portion of France that resisted German occupation. So let's take a look at what we're going to do. Let's do some research. 3 research slots. All right, fine. And of course, we can divide our research between ground-based research, naval-based research, air-based research, and then industry and engineering. So what we're going to do here to try and play like France, based on my research, France's Air Force at this time was really not up to par. They had a number of planes and air divisions, which we're going to attempt to mimic. But one of the things is some of their aircraft were a bit obsolete. So I'm going to simulate this by deliberately keeping my air research a generation or a half a generation. And by generation, I'm referring to these time periods here, 33, 6, 40, 44, behind. I don't know if I'm going to go full generation. I may try to do that. But basically, if I'm sitting around with nothing to research, I will go ahead and catch aircraft up. However, bottom line here is we're going to leave it. It's going to be very low on the totem pole of our research efforts. We're going to focus a lot more on industry, which we're going to do now, specifically with construction. We'll go ahead and research construction, so we need to do our build-up. And machine tools, because we're already not really behind, but you know, it's there you go. And then we're going to do some ground catch-up. So our army, France had a huge army during World War II that was technologically sophisticated as well. And so we are going to keep our army up to date as well. So industry, construction, and foot infantry are going to be our primary research focuses. Now, in addition to research, and as the historical nerd, this is probably going to be my favorite part of the game. is this massive, I don't want to call it a tech tree per se, but this massive national focus tree, which I love. I love big, huge things like this. I'm such a loser. Anyway, even though it's absolutely ginormous, there's really only a couple of national focuses we can pay attention to right away, just because some you just can't do straight away. So devaluation, we are going to do that. In fact, we're going to do it first, because during this time period, did I not do it already? Hello? Oh, okay, it just closes up. So the franc was, I don't know about actively being devalued, but it had been devalued. And so France's economic situation was such that they were really putting a lot of pressure on Germany to make good with their war reparations following their World War I Treaty of Versailles agreements. And it is one of the reasons, many reasons, all the economic burden that was placed on Germany that made them basically say, like, hell no, screw you. So we're going to do that. In addition to that, we can't begin rearmament without 12% war support. We can see that here. So that this whole tree is out for now to start with. Okay, and then this whole tree here really depends on whether we do this Popular Front or revive the National Bloc. So we'll get back to that in just a minute. And you see that this whole tree extends out quite a ways. And then really the only other two trees are naval rearmament and air focus. Now, much like I talked about in the research, we are going to leave air focus behind. I don't know about entirely behind, but we are going to let it languish. And naval, we're probably going to focus on a little bit. But for now, let's dig a little bit more into our socio-political national focuses. So there's a couple things that I'm really headed for here. And what I'm really headed for here is the go with Britain. Okay? There's a lot of alternate or alt history stuff in here that I'm just not about. My son makes fun of me and says, "You're going to play a video game to have it go exactly like history." I'm like, "Yep, that's exactly what I'm going to do." And then my wife goes, "Isn't only like one person going to watch that video?" And they both were like, "Oh!" So anyway, to the one viewer that I have, thank you. Thank you for watching being the one person who's watching my videos. Anyway, I'm going to be headed down the Go with Britain side here, so we're going to chase that down. We could do this via the National Bloc route or the Popular Front route. It turns out that the National Blocs kind of had their day, if you will, in France at this time, so we're not going to. These are sort of more conservative, right-wing military blocs. And what we have over here are the Popular Fronts, which was more of a left-wing, socialist kind of leaning. I don't know that we're going to go hardcore communism. We're probably not going to. But we are going to chase this down on the Popular Front side, which Popular Fronts did come into power in in France in 1936. So our production is going to focus pretty exclusively on military production, and there is a lot we could do, which I think is amazing. But we could get really detailed down to choosing battalion compositions, equipment types, ships, tanks, and planes can all be modified with every different kind of gun and device, and I'm going to need to do that to some degree. But going through it all is probably going to get to be a little tedious. So instead what we're going to do is none of this. And instead we're going to focus on the differential between what we have and what France truly had when Germany invaded, in terms of troop sizes and rough troop composition. So first, let's talk about the Army. We can see here that we have 51 infantry, 7 motorized, etc., etc., etc. And my research has shown that by the time of the German invasion, France actually had 91 infantry divisions, with all these other divisions remaining pretty much the way that they are. So we're not going to focus on any of these at all. I'm just going to focus on producing a much larger quantity of infantry. So that's really kind of it as far as Army goes. And I'm not going to be doing any of that production on camera because it's all fairly routine in terms of assigning, which equipment are going to be built, how many factories, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's a lot of part of the game. I'm not going to keep pace with, like, on this day at this year, France had this amount of, So we're just basically setting a goal, a differential goal for the Army. Same thing for the Navy. And we're going to take a look at our naval composition here. So we've got a fair amount. So it's a lot easier to look at, in my opinion, in this view. And so we can compare this to what the research shows that we actually had. And that was France had, quote-unquote, a few aircraft carriers. We have one. At the time, they had 2 battle cruisers and 7 heavy cruisers. So let's see, we have 5 and 7. So we have a surplus of battle cruisers already. 7 light cruisers here in the game, but historically speaking, they had 12. And then we had 71 destroyers, where we only have 52, and 76 submarines. So we're going to, much like the infantry, we're going to bring those totals up. I'm going to do some modernization because right now we have a fair amount of earlier, outdated kind of early cruiser hulls and early submarine hulls as opposed to the more modern 1936, and we can see that a little bit here on the research side in the Navy. We can bring our ships up to speed in the Navy. We'll build all the boats we need. I'll stop singing now. Okay, so you can see we're a little bit behind the times. We're going to modernize up to 36. And then, like I said, in the Air Force, we're going to stay a generation behind. So, but we're also going to still focus on quantities, and do that differential. So let's take a look at that here. And we can see 452 fighter planes, but I show that we had 634. So we're going to have a lot of work to do there. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it or not. Bombers, they supposedly had 463. Okay, but that probably includes all of these. So we have naval bombers, tactical bombers, strategic bombers. So, but still, we have like half of the planes that France had at the time. So there's a lot of air work to be done there. And then 444 recon planes. I don't even really think that the game has an equivalent of that. So because we have a lot of work to do on the Air Force side, and I don't think we're going to come even close to it by the time Germany invades, but those are going to be our priorities. So we're going to work our way up from where we are to as close to where we should be by the time of the invasion. And so the invasion should be set to begin around 1939, so we have 3 more in-game years to do that. And in the meantime, what we're going to do is the following. We're going to build up a little bit of fort defense here along the Savoy area. We are going to bring our military composition as close as we can to matching the numbers with a heavy focus on infantry. I'm going to really be trying to double our infantry up to that 91 divisions because we're going to need that. The Navy, I may ignore, except for I don't really need to because the difference in production Navy production, of course, requires dockyards, whereas infantry and air requires military factories. So I'm probably going to be producing some Navy because I don't need to compete with my infantry for it, but anything where I would compete for infantry, I'm going to favor infantry. And then on the Air Force side, due to the fact that we're supposed to have somewhat of an obsolete Air Force, I'm probably going to set a goal of not even trying to train additional Air Force until we bring the infantry up to speed. And then the last thing that we're going to be doing, and I'm going to be bringing you in on a few of those events, is as the various France-related historical events do happen in the game, we're going to see what those are looking like and make what come as close to historically accurate chances as we possibly can. Our first major event shows up March 11th, 1936, the remilitarization of the Rhineland. Let's just put this out of the way for a minute. I believe that's somewhere in here. There we go. So, treaty-wise, Germany was not supposed to have military presence here, and they started to have military presence there, which was in violation of the treaty. And one of the first reactions to that was not to say this is an act of war, which who knows, maybe we should have, but to rather issue a diplomatic objection. And so there were many people who just basically said, like, hey, it's their own backyard, like, why do we care? And of course we learned why we cared pretty soon after that. But for now, we're going to follow history and simply issue a diplomatic objection to it. Wah, wah. Similarly, you can see here that I'm preparing for a defense. There will be a small offense that we're theoretically going to conduct, the Saar Offensive here. And this area has us pretty well defended with the Maginot Line and all these 10 states here, or level 10 forts, excuse me. It's this area in the lowlands that we're going to see eventual penetration from, and so that doesn't mean I'm going to go down without a fight. We're gonna hold the line as long as we can. Okay, we're gonna make another historical choice here, and that is we're going to place Maurice Gamelin as the High Army Commander. We need aggressive focus, which is a little bit odd because I was hoping to play defensive because the whole point is we're just going to get invaded, right? But I don't know. I kind of just wanted him to be in the position. So aggressive focus complete. Let's pause it, and we can go ahead and put him in place there. So he's already a field commander, whatever this term is, or field marshal, excuse me, where he commands these 4 armies that I have. So he was like the head dude, and maybe a little bit more on him once the battle starts. But in the meantime, we went ahead and pursued that route, which allows us to only pursue down either maneuver motorized or air dominance, which really wasn't either. Like I said, France had a sort of outdated air force, and while they did have strong motor and armor, they didn't coordinate it and use it as well. Like Germany had armored division maneuvers, and they worked together, whereas France's armor at least was more isolated than that. Anyway, so it was either go down the defensive line and not be able to choose the guy that was actually in charge, or choose the guy that's actually in charge and go down an aggressive line. So we're going to do that. And it's May 5th, 1937. Still just doing a form of militarization here, trying to catch up to my totals, really not getting anywhere near it. In fact, I had a significant collapse of my divisions because practically all my divisions were at like half strength. So I just simply combined them so that I wasn't just constantly producing more material to simply reinforce the divisions I already had. Maybe that was a stupid choice, but we'll see. So we're continuing to just build up and wait for the invasion. September 22nd, 1937, Turkey presses the Hatay issue. I guess that's what this area is here. And there's a small state named Hatay. And it says that France did indeed let it go here. Following a popular referendum, Hatay became a Turkish province. The referendum has been labeled both phony and rigged, and a way for the French to let Turks take over the area, hoping that they would turn on Hitler. Interesting. So we're going to allow Hatay to slip into Turkey's grasp. And does that actually do anything? Oh, it did. See it? Boop. Alright. Bang. They got a whole whopping piece of land from us. Okay. Which, of course, I don't think it worked, because I don't think Turkey did turn against Germany, and we still get totally crushed by them. So, yeah, what do you know? We're giving concessions to people that are still going to attack us. Some things never change. So let's take a look at the Little Entente, which is this grouping of nations here. Czechoslovakia, not Hungary, Romania, and Yugoslavia. The Little Entente from Encyclopedia Britannica was a mutual defense agreement between Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, and Romania, formed in the 1920s, directed against German and Hungarian domination in the Danube River basin. During the 1920s, the three nations sought economic and political cooperation and negotiated alliances with France. And we can see that represented in our democracy, where we are guaranteeing the independence of Czechoslovakia, Romania, and Yugoslavia. What do you know? Unfortunately, a few things happened here to really kind of weaken this historically. The Entente lost its remaining political significance. Well, first of all, when Germany occupied the Rhineland, which has been done already in the game, that the French support upon which the Entente relied lost pretty much all of its value, and the remaining political significance is gone when Yugoslavia and Romania denied a request by Czechoslovakia, which was then threatened by Germany, and we can obviously see that. Even looks like a dog eating it, all right? Or a demon, a wolf eating a snake. Anyway, they were threatened by Germany, so Czechoslovakia made a request that the Entente pledge full military aid to a member that was any victim of oppression, and it collapsed when the Entente finally annexed the Sudeten area of Czechoslovakia in September of 1938. We're not there yet. However, in correspondence with that, we've chosen this national focus of buy time, which is mutually exclusive with confirmed Eastern commitments. So this is an alt history here, where we could have kept our peace guarantees with all these nations, tried to strengthen them, and then do all sorts of alt history things like invite Britain to join us and, all that kind of stuff. Instead, we're chasing down the historical route. I do still need to look up whether this support the Finns is something we're going to do. But anyway, where we buy time, right? We're in the middle of that right now. And we are not ready to face Germans in the field. Our allies are weak. Military is outdated. We have to make some sacrifices if we want to survive. And the people we sacrifice, we're going to cancel our guarantees of independence. with Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia. And as we're going to see, it's not going to really make a difference. September 7th, 1938, in the escalation to World War II, the Munich Conference. So Germany demands the Sudetenland region. Let's go ahead and figure out where that is. For those of us who don't know, sorry about that. Okay, so, I mean, there you go. Germany demands that, and let's get back to our event here. Hitler has positioned forces all along the Czechoslovakian border in preparation for an attack. Talks are being held in Britain, France, Italy, or between, and Germany, in the hopes of negotiating a quote-unquote peaceful end to the Sudeten crisis. British have made it clear they have no intention of going to war over a quarrel in a faraway country. Of course, British and French have gone to plenty of wars in faraway countries, but, you know, whatever. And, unfortunately, we're going to historically leave the Czechs to their fate, which is not a good one. And given that, as an American, I'm now seeing people in my country wondering why we're going to, or we're risking military intervention for quote-unquote quarrels in faraway country, those quarrels quickly come to our shores, as World War II came to the shores of America in the bombing of Pearl Harbor. But I'll leave that for you to decide. I'm going to follow the historical course and leave the Czechs to their fate. An agreement was reached in which Germany annexes the Sudetenland, but will not pursue any further territorial gains in Europe. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Mr. Chamberlain spoke to the crowds. For the second time, a prime minister has returned from Germany bringing peace with honor. I believe it is peace for our time. Well, let's see how that goes. Here we are on the 16th of November, 1938, and we completed our national focus of going with Britain, where we're going to form the Allies, really, and so we see that represented here. And I figured now is a good time to not look at you, but look at decisions. Okay, to talk about what my preparation has led me towards. So we're going to unpause, actually, because I've got it on 3 speed, and I want to get to 1939. Might as well just keep going while we're talking. So what I have is an army, not that strong, on the Maginot Line here, or on the northeastern part of the Maginot Line. And then I have a full-strength army ready to defend. Now, whether this was historically accurate or not, they didn't know they were going to come through there. At least I didn't think they knew. And I've done a few trials of this, and the crushedness is pretty strong. So I get wasted here pretty badly. So I have this fallback line drawn with a set of troops. One of the things that I think game-wise kind of goes wrong is, you know what, it's too much for me to focus on and keep talking, so I'm going to pause it, is they don't supplement losing divisions with other troops. So I've seen like 3-on-1s and 4-on-1s, and it's like, and then other dudes just sitting over here on some part of the, you know, the line, like twiddling their thumbs. So I'm gonna micro this a bit more when it starts. Perhaps I just don't know how to play. There's a very, very good chance of that. But anyway, so what I have is this one army, the defending army, a fallback army, and then I have what I call my training army, which is basically guys that are always in training. And so, for example, I'll take these two that are out of training, or that are trained up all the way, and move them to my fallback army. And then, as I get new troops trained, they are deployed, rather, they go straight to my training army. This fallback army is filled with more mobile troops, thinking that if I can move them to the front faster. I don't know if that's a good mindset or not, but we'll see. And so that's what I have in terms of army. In terms of navy, really the French Navy was just really not involved in this early part of World War II at all. So I'm going to do a couple of things that aren't necessarily historically on point. Where's my homies? Thought I had ships down here. So I'm going to have some ships in this area that will assist the Alpine attack. I only have a very small army here, 1 division each per province, where Italy will come in and attack me on the Alpine front. We're going to assist that with naval bombardment. And then I'm also going to move one of my other navies around here to assist with naval bombardment in the Dunkirk area when the German invasion comes. Other than that, we're going to be doing a lot of like military, or excuse me, with the Air Force, we're going to be doing a lot of close air support and air superiority and all that stuff as much as we can, but the German Luftwaffe is going to overpower us pretty quickly. And then lastly, and what will be the end of this video, will be the Saar Offensive. We'll get into that a little bit more in detail, but we're going to set it up now. And that is, we're going to take our northeastern army and give them a command, or a new line, an offensive line, to take the Saarland area here. And this happened right as soon as Germany basically declared war and invaded Poland. It was all part of the initial response on the Allies, where France was going to invade Germany in support of Poland from this whole broader direction. And instead, Germany defeated Poland so quickly and were able to reinforce their lines that they kind of went, yeah, no, and pulled back. And so we're going to simulate that as well. So all of that's going to be in 1939. We're still doing some more build-up here in 1938, but I just wanted to bring you in and show you what we're up to. In terms of composition, these goals have basically all failed. I did not reach, I'm nowhere close to 91 divisions of leg infantry, as they call it here. That's partially because at the beginning, France starts with a lot of basically unequipped, I'm not using the proper term here, but not non-full strength units, and there's all these like reinforcement requests going on, preventing you from basically training any new divisions. And so I wanted to be able to rely on full strength divisions, so I did a lot of combining of divisions, which took me down, and then deployment, which is bringing me back up. And I do have active deployment going on, 5 different lines, which are, coming along, so that's good. And I have nearly all my production focused on upgrading my tanks and producing the infantry. So I'm just doing only infantry deployment at this point, leg infantry deployment. And so in terms of naval, I really haven't pushed naval hard. Oh, I guess we did reach and surpassed our sub goals. I didn't realize that. So we will go ahead and shut that down. Which sort of makes sense, I guess. We're producing like basically 1 sub a month. So we'll go ahead and take this back to practically nothing. And I don't even have any more capital ship development because it's theirs was like, we're going to give you 1 ship in 1945. Like, okay. That's not really going to do me a whole lot of good. So I guess we'll just keep doing this. Because, again, the whole thing's going to go out the door and will be Vichy France. Well, taken over by Vichy France. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, and then I've missed my air goals as well. Let's see, we have 520 fighters. And our goals, check my trusty spreadsheet here, was 634. So we're still going. but production is nowhere near that. What are we doing? 3 a month? So yeah, we're not gonna get there. But it is what it is. So anyway, production is not on track, but I don't really know what else I could have done to make it be on track. But otherwise, our national focus-wise, we are following the true historical focus of going with Britain. I probably will do some arms purchases. Might as well do it now, I suppose. And what do we get? Unlocks purchase weapons in the United States. Sure. Okay, so we'll do that now. And I'll just bring you back in 1939, probably in the latter part of 1939. We're going to briefly conduct the Saar Offensive and then bring this first video to a conclusion. April 6th, 1939. German troops have crossed into Bohemia, Moravia, ostensibly to restore order to the regions in the wake of the collapsing Czechoslovakian government. Now, don't you remember when they said, we're not interested in taking any more European... If you just give us this piece of land, we won't take any more. Is any of this sounding familiar yet? It's already happened. Anyway, so they're going to invade Czechoslovakia, or they invaded Czechoslovakia, and remember they were 1/3 of the Little Entente, and now Romania and Yugoslavia are left by themselves, and we're going to see things rapidly collapse here in Eastern Europe, leading into full-blown war. The time is rapidly upon us, middle of August 1939. We're preparing for the Saar Offensive. I just noticed this, several British troops are like, we want in on that action. So that's kind of cool. What I'm going to do is, rather than do it on the precise date of the Saar Offensive necessarily, we're going to pull the trigger on it basically the day we get notification that Poland has been invaded. So anyway, that's what's coming up here, and we're going to see. I've only got like 50 or 60 hours in this game, which means I'm a total noob. So I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. But given that I don't actually need to win this war, historically speaking, the pressure's off a little bit. So, okay, we're getting started here. Poland refuses the German ultimatum. Be forced to cede Danzig, and Germany has ignored every warning. Alright, I don't think that's quite it. Let's go look over here. The German Reich declared war on Poland. Okay, so that, and here we go. That is the beginning, August 25th, 1939. I don't think that's when it actually happened here. So let's pull up good old Google. When did Germany declare war on Poland? September 1st, 1939. Okay, so they're a little bit early. But that's fine. We're going to commence the Saar Offensive at this point. We should have gotten the... Here we go. Yeah, the call to arms wants our help in their war as allies. Absolutely. We're going to say yes, and we are at war with Germany. So, let's take a look at what we've got. We have a significant, almost a full army. It's basically saying the force comparison is stronger. And my plan is saying, ooh, this is not looking good, which is probably true. So anyway, we've got de Gaulle's army here in the northeast, and we have, who's this fellow, Alphonse Georges, all along the Belgium line, ready to go. I've got my fallback line ready to either support or assist, and then training is still going on here, so we're gonna just keep funneling new troops through through training, because basically once they push through Paris, it's over anyway. So I'm just gonna go all out. I'm not going to expend a ton of Air Force on this, on the Saar Offensive, because it's not really supposed to be major. So we'll probably bring in maybe one wing for air superiority and one for close assault. And so let me get ready a little bit more, and we're going to pull the trigger on this. Okay, in preparation to set this up, we're going to just focus on our small amount of air support that we're going to provide here. I've got a few wings standing by. We're going to go for one fighter wing for air superiority and one tactical for close air support. We are going to group them and basically give them the Western Germany feel to support Saar, and we're going to turn on air superiority and close air support. And then the army, let's go ahead and pick our dude, Charles de Gaulle, and give him the go. Alright, we're going to take the speed down a notch. Hopefully pressing the right button. There we go. To speed 2. And let her rip. Okay, so they're advancing in. We're going to take a look at what the combat figures are looking like. Obviously, we're not doing well here in the east, but we're doing pretty well here on the western side of this. So again, not really being an expert on how to play this. We're headed into the red. We're currently losing. We have 8 divisions, but obviously they have insane defense because we're attacking and they're fortified and all that stuff. I mean, we've got twice the divisions and attacking from multiple directions. We don't have air superiority. We do have air support from close air support. So I'm a little bit surprised this battle's going as poorly as the others are. Yeah, so what are we at? 8 versus 5. So they're reinforcing clearly. So let's just go ahead and push this for a little bit. We're only supposed to try. The Saar Offensive was never really a successful offensive. So we'll just keep going with this and see how it goes. So also in the south, along the Alps, we're being invaded down here. This is not going terribly well. And of course, naturally, I forgot to activate my naval plan here, which we should probably do. Oh, we're docked in Algiers instead of... that's not cool. Anyway, let's go ahead and get on over there and provide... what is it? Naval invasion support to help these folks here.
Attention!
I guess, I mean, I don't really want to abandon this particular place, but at the same time, watching this dude get sort of ganged up on by 3 different people. Yeah.
Attention!
Alright, I am no expert in this, so I'm just going to leave them to sort of defend and or lose as they will here. Although, I tell you what, there's no need to have my troops just sitting around here doing absolutely nothing.
Gardez vos rangs.
So let me get them some support.
Bougez-vous.
Down there, we'll just micro that on down. Although, maybe I can just take this dude
Attention!
and say, alright, you get some of my mobiles.
Gardez vos rangs.
And you. We're just gonna add you to the Alps army and see how that affects them. Hopefully they get on down there and help them out. This guy's losing pretty bad. And everyone else is doing okay. Alright, meanwhile, every part of the Saar Offensive is failing, which is anticipated. Oh, the United States is like, hey, you want to lend some weapons from us? Or United UK? And they're like, nah, we don't want to. Okay, whatever. Alright, we're going to let this progress a little bit further and bring it back in when it's done. Okay, pretty significant event, 20th September, German pressure towards the Benelux, which, where is that? Let's do a find on that. No. I believe that's either here in Belgium or the Netherlands, which I believe just means that they're going to be wrapping up their Poland invasion soon and come on over, which is planned. They should come through the Netherlands, through to Belgium, onto us. We're continuing to try the Saar Offensive. It's continuing to fail. Alright, they're attacking us now. It's going to fail. You know, the Maginot Line is going to hold here. I think. They're pushing through with their one division. And their one soft attack. I was going to say, wondering why that number was going down, but okay. So, with the failed Saar Offensive, we're going to cut it here. I'm going to bring this video to a close. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to continue on and start the next video up with the invasion of the Netherlands and Belgium, and we'll see how well I can hold the line and for how long. France was officially invaded in May of 1940, and capitulation occurred 1 month later. I have at most been able to pull off 2 months worth of in-game survival, but I think with this more advanced setup, I should be okay. So, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Chapter 1 of Historical France in Hearts of Iron 4.